We got the first teaser trailer for Dune Part 3, and it looks a lot darker, in my opinion, than the other Dunes. And I want to study the editing of this trailer because, in my opinion, this is an example of genius storytelling. So let's take it apart and really understand what makes this trailer so effective. So let's dig right in.
If we have a girl, what will we name her?
Her name should be Ganima. She would need to be strong, like her mother. What if it's a boy?
I would name him Leto. So he would have the wisdom of his grandfather.
Badass. Okay, so I want to talk about this first part first. So the fact that the trailer is front loaded with this kind of intimate moment between Paul and Chani discussing their first child's name, to me tells me this is going to be the emotional core of the movie. And what's important to notice is how gentle and how peaceful everything feels in this moment. The editing is slow. The music is very mellow. And even the sound design is very calming. Take a listen at this shot here when Paul is in the sky.
Her name should be Ganima.
You hear the wind softly bristling in the background. The characters are speaking in like a whispering tone, and even the visuals are calming. I mean, it's just like a beautiful, sweeping, empty desert landscape. There is nothing chaotic about this. And the fact that later in the trailer we're going to see nothing but chaos and destruction, the fact that the trailer begins with this just indicates to me that this is the private, quiet life that Paul desperately wants to protect in the movie. And something else to note about the editing of this opening is that the editors intercut this heartfelt moment with Chani with much darker shots, such as Paul on his own bathing a shaved head, or this battle shot here. This intercutting with darker, more ominous imagery suggests that there are dark forces brewing that threaten to dismantle his personal life. And in these shots of Paul, he looks very distressed, like he's plagued by something. And this dark imagery is not just thematic, but also the colors here are significantly darker than in the shots with Chani. And so then here, 46 seconds into the trailer, we have the first tonal shift, the first tonal transition. And we have this really cool shot of Paul gripping his fist. Clearly, that's just like a visual metaphor for him like grappling with something. Clearly, his character has a lot of inner tension, and you hear this sound effect, this riser sound effect that's building, and it's used in editing to kind of build towards something. So it's often used as like a transitional piece, and here it's used to transition from this mellow, peaceful life to the chaos and destruction of the war that Paul has started. So here you'll hear this riser here leading into the aggressive music. So once this riser completed, you have this foreboding, ominous music track. And there's this kind of like rhythm to it. There's like a marching rhythm to it. That to me is perfectly indicative of like a battle march. And we have this really cool shot. And the way this shot is constructed is really cool because you see the shot begin where you have him just in his war gear. You can see his face is completely battered. And as the camera pulls out, you reveal all of this destruction. And the fact that he's centered in the frame is indicative that he is the one who has created this destruction. He is their Messiah. They're carrying out this chaos for him in the name of him, which is something that he's going to be grappling with in this story. And that's firstly shown by the dialogue choice here.
War feeds on itself.
So war feeds on itself, this idea that it is this never-ending thing that he cannot stop. The war has gotten out of his control. And it is out of his control because everybody is worshiping him and carrying this out for him. And that's further reinforced by the sound design and the music, where you hear in the music, you hear Paul's chants. So you hear Paul start the chant, and then you hear the people chanting in unison with him. So it's kind of like the war that has started is almost like a religious worshiping. It's kind of creepy and eerie. And then intercutted here, the visuals just show the scale of the destruction. I mean, you have this kind of dead arm in the ground. You have this missile attack that's taking place. Then you have this kind of like spaceship battle scene. So this is an epic war, right? That takes place in the planet, takes place in outer space. It is this thing that has just eaten itself and gotten way out of Paul's control.
The more I fight, the more our enemies fight back.
And then there's this really cool line where he says, the more I fight, the more our enemies fight back. Again, showcasing the never-ending cycle of this war. And after he says, the more our enemies fight back, the visuals are very important because we see this shot of Florence Pugh, and listen to the sound design on her shot.
Fight back.
Do you hear that high-pitched sound effect? That high-pitched sound effect coming in as he says, the more our enemies fight back, indicates that his own wife is one of the people who would like to see Paul dethroned, or who are fighting back against his tyrannical regime. Then we reveal Robert Pattinson's character. And notice that under Robert Pattinson's character, the sound design starts to kind of warp a little bit. You hear this kind of rumbling sound design. Take a listen one more time. There's like a vibration. And to me, this kind of sound design vibration under his shot tells me that he is the main enemy of Paul's in the movie. He's kind of going to be the main villain of the film. And I looked into it, and he plays a character called Scytale. Don't kill me in the comments if that's not how you pronounce it. I apologize, but he's definitely the antagonist of the film, and the sound design is very much positioning him that way.
I'm doing the best I can to protect my family.
Okay, I love that moment where you hear Timothy, where you hear Paul very quietly whispering, "I'm doing the best I can to protect my family." And I think it's very important that he's whispering here, because right after that, the editing does a hard cut, an aggressive hard cut to this battle sequence. And right when it cuts to the battle sequence, we go from Paul's quiet whispers to Paul's loud screaming chant. I'm gonna listen to that right here. It's like intense. And so that contrast of the quiet whisper with the battling scream is very indicative of Paul's duality in the movie, his conflict. He's got a part of him that's this quiet family man, like we saw at the beginning. But then there's this other part of him that's this aggressive warrior that has started this mass destruction and this mass chaos. And so that kind of juxtaposition is what he's wrestling with in the movie. So it's kind of giving us a window into the fact that Paul is going to be quite tormented by what he's created in this film. And now we have an epic kick-ass battle sequence. Goddamn. Brutal. Okay, the editing here is just so freaking awesome because the stabbing of the battle is perfectly in sync with the rhythm of Paul's chants. Listen to how whenever they stab somebody, it's hitting the beat of the chant. It's all just in perfect unison, and that is once again a very strong editing and sound design choice to really show that these warriors are carrying this out on Paul's behalf. It's like his chants are guiding the rhythm of the attack.
How did Father do it?
Your father never started a war.
Powerful line. How did Father do it? Your father never started a war. True words, son. So again, another line just showing that this is something that is unprecedented in his family line. So he's all alone. He needs to figure out how to wrestle with this, and he doesn't know how. So now this last leg of the trailer, its whole job is just to get you excited for the movie. So it does that by showing you the massive scale of the film. I mean, you have shots like this massive crazy battle. Then it also shows the casting, right? It shows that Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays Paul's sister, is going to have a larger role, because in the last movie she had barely a role. She barely appeared, but here she's featured in the first teaser, so clearly she's stepping up as a character. Then we see that Duncan Idaho is back, which is exciting, one, because Jason Momoa is awesome, but also, he died earlier in the movies, so it's kind of this mysterious intrigue as to why he's returning. People who've read the book will know this. People who haven't won't. I'm in the camp, I haven't read the book, so I'm excited to see. I have no idea. But this is getting me wanting to go to the theater. And then notice how in this last section of the trailer, the music is at the loudest it's ever been, and Paul's chants are at the most aggressive they've ever been. And that combination of the loud music and Paul's just intense chanting on a physical level pumps your adrenaline. And so it kind of gets you riled up, almost the way Paul is riling up the troops. It's chemically creating your excitement by mixing the loud music and Paul's really intense chanting, which props to Timothy for nailing that. And then this whole sequence culminates in this final amazing shot.
I'm not afraid to die.
Goddamn. Even just watching that clip, I got chills. So clearly it's effective. The fact that the camera starts close on Paul as we're ascending with him, it places the audience as like an accomplice to Paul as we're going up the stairs with him. And it's almost like you're ascending like a ride where you don't know where it's going. And then you just see where it's going. And it's the most massive, epic, just sea of worshipers. And this is really the shot in the trailer. It's the money shot. It's the shot where you can see the influence that this character has had on the people. And it's really frightening in a way. And so the fact that you have this massive shot of all of these worshipers, and then you have this close-up of his face where he clearly looks tormented. This is where the performance of Timothée Chalamet really kind of comes through. He can convey a lot in just his eyes. And he just has this kind of dead look in his eyes. And to me, that tells us that he's in turmoil. He doesn't know how to end this thing he's created. And he's kind of just this lost character. And it's such a character shift to how he was portrayed in the first film. So this teaser is really setting up the massive character arc that's in store for us for his character. And we have the final moments of the trailer.
But I must not die. Yet.
This ending is kind of ambiguous to me. I don't know if it's ambiguous to anybody else. If I'm missing something, please let me know in the comments. But to me, what's ambiguous about it is that we go from this shot of Paul, then we cut to black, and we go to this dagger shot. And you hear him say, "I'm not afraid to die, but I must not die yet." And so to me, immediately, I thought that this dagger was being held by Paul. Like he was clearly defending himself against these kind of obscured enemies in the back. But then we cut to Zendaya's character, Chani. And so now I'm not sure. I don't know if it's Paul who's holding the dagger or it's her who's holding the dagger. And I actually think that that's an intentional editing choice. They want you to feel that ambiguity, potentially, because what the ambiguity does to me is it tells me that anybody in his family is in danger. He's in danger, but so is Chani, and so are his future children. They're kind of being attacked from all angles. So whether it's Paul defending himself against these people or her, it's probably both. And the fact that his dialogue says, I'm not afraid to die, but I must not die yet, to me reveals his core goal of the movie. And that is to stay alive long enough to protect his family. And then the trailer ends on a very suspenseful note where you see this shot of Chani and you hear another riser sound effect building. And then we just cut to complete silence. We cut to black. And that rise, and the fact that the sound design was rising and then everything just cut out abruptly leaves you kind of on the edge of your seat and you want to know what happens next. Does she survive this battle? I know in the book she does die in childbirth, but I think they're deviating from that in this film. Who knows? But it kind of gets you wondering what's going to happen, what's going to happen to Paul, what's going to happen to his family. And so it's just a perfect way to end the trailer to get you to want more. So anyway, so that is my little editing breakdown of this teaser trailer. I think it's really effective. Clearly, it's painting a more personal story for Paul, but also a much darker story. And even Denis has said in an interview that this film will feel different than the other movies because this one is a much more of a thriller than the other movies. And I definitely get that vibe from this trailer. It's an action-packed suspense fest. This looks awesome. What did you think of the teaser trailer? Let me know in the comments. If there's anything I didn't address, please also let me know. I would love to hear your insights. But as always, this is an exciting trailer. I can't wait to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.